Hello everyone, my name is Moji. You're watching a Bitcoin bubble news channel. Did Tedler start out with money? Using the stablecoin? Someone else is working on brain chips and satellites. Musk is working on brain chips, satellites, and he may have taken over a social network to get the user data. Now he's turning Twitterx into a bank, and he's made it very clear that he wants to be a part of the banking system. Why is that taking place? Strange things are happening. This is all very similar, especially since Musk helped create PayPal. Bros of Bitcoin family, welcome back to the channel. Writer of One Nation under blackmail Whitney Webb was talking about how Elon Musk is connected to the US using the dollar to take control of other countries and eventually all of the world. She talks about how the dollar is being used as a weapon because it is the world's main currency in today's clip, including how the US has manipulated other nations to get more power. It goes into a lot of detail about how stablecoins fit into all of this and how all of this corruption is linked. You should definitely watch this whole thing. Write your ideas in the box below, and then think about what the answer might be to all of these issues she talks about in today's video. Think about how Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies fit into all of this. This is from an interview she did not long ago. Allow us to view the video clip. I think it's important to remember that the US has gone to war and killed millions of people to protect the petrodollar system, which is how the dollar has been kept as the world's reserve currency. There are probably more than one reason why they invaded Iraq, but I think one of the main ones was that Saddam Hussein had recently started selling oil in euros instead of dollars and made a lot more money. He did this to show other OPEC members that they could also make more money by selling oil in currencies other than dollars. Then there was Libya in 2011. Gaddafi was trying to switch to a currency backed by gold called the dinar, which he sold to African countries. Some of them use dollars while others use French money. Because of this, the US and France basically led that regime change operation, which had terrible results for Libya. It went from being the safest country in Africa to the most dangerous, and it has been used as an example or reason for how immigration got so out of hand in Europe after that. In some situations, the US government, or rather the US power, is ready to do anything to protect the dollar, since they knew they couldn't keep this up forever, and that the world would eventually move away from oil. The idea that they would just sit back and let dollarization happen without having some kind of plan in place was crazy. It's important to remember that these people have been very serious, played very hard, and made things crazy instability just to keep the dollar as the world's main currency because it helps the US a lot. These benefits are something they want to keep, even if it means using a different method. Along with other places around the world, including Argentina and Lebanon, these countries have been the targets of economic warfare for a very long time. Argentina is a great example of this. It might have started in the 1970s and 1980s. As for economic policy, some of the decisions Argentina made when it was a military regime were completely crazy. In the 1990s, you had a conservative in charge named Carlos Menem, who I thought was very bad for Argentina. Then their economy crashed in 2001, which you could say was a direct result of many of those policies, both during the dictatorship and during Menem's president. And then there are groups like the IMF and others. And after Argentina's economy crashed in 2001, they try to get it to do things like trade debt for land and resources. And this has been going on for a long time, not just in Argentina, but in a lot of places in Latin America. It's a resource grab. Those engineers said it very clearly. It was a way to tie Latin America to the US and other global economic interests based in the US, like Wall Street banks, by canceling out Latin America's debt in the 1980s and 1990s. They made a lot of this happen. So what's going on in Argentina now didn't just appear out of thin air. Although Argentina's central bank is largely to blame, the problem didn't happen in a vacuum. The decisions were made by the people presidents chose to lead the central bank. Although Milei has been very critical of Argentina's central bank, he still put a former head of the central bank in a top position in his cabinet. That's right, these decisions were made by politicians, as someone who has reported from Argentina and on Argentinian politics. They have so little respect for corruption there. Political leaders in Argentina are so dishonest that they don't even try to hide it. In some cases, it's so obvious that I've never seen anything like it anywhere else in the world. So I really believe that what's going on in Argentina was planned to happen that way. Yes, those people may need stable coins because of the way the economy is right now. They were put there by engineers. Afterward, who gains from that? I would say that the same people made both the problem and the solution. Shortly, I'd like to add something about dollarization. As Mark and I both agree, a big part of the point is to make steady coins more like the dollar. Some Latin American countries have already gone dollarized in the past. For instance, Ecuador and El Salvador. And once they become dollarized, those countries lose control over their own money and have to follow what the Fed decides. And that leads to a lot of things. So this is an attempt by the same people who planned the events in Ecuador and El Salvador to do the same thing to Latin America. It doesn't seem like over-dollarization because the stablecoins aren't directly linked to the US government, but they are, for example, linked directly to the US Treasury system. The article's main focus is on Endeavor, but there are also companies like Satellogic that are backed by Endeavor and are connected to Zap. This was also a main topic of our earlier article, Debt from Above. And Steve Mnuchin, who used to be head of the Treasury Department, is on the board of Satellogic. With Howard Lutnick of Cantor Fitzgerald, you have one of the most important guys in the Treasury system, right? They are from the Rohatyn Group. The Rohatyn Group is named after Nick Rohatyn, who oversaw JP Morgan's Latin American debt policies in the 1980s. This made the bank a lot of money but made the Latin American debt problem worse than it is now. That being said, why are all those people on the board of the satellite company? What's with these people showing up at Zappo? Why are all of these people who are involved with safe coins like PayPal and PYUSD also involved with Endeavor? The PayPal drug gang. In my opinion, there are so many signs that it's hard to ignore them and think they are just random events.